So everyone, thanks again for joining us today. I'm Casey Cupoletti. I'm Senior Vice President of Product for DonorDrive. It is great to see so many familiar names on the call today, and I do see some new ones. So welcome. I am excited to have you all here today. And usually on our quarterly roadmap webinars, we are digging into new releases and what's coming up in the near term. Today, our focus is going to be on the larger Bonterra vision and how DonorDrive fits in. And then finally, of course, what that means for you as DonorDrive customers, which I think you'll all be excited about. So I'm happy to introduce Scott Brighton, CEO of Bonterra, to you all today, and Russ Jenkins, Senior Vice President of Product for Fundraising and Events at Bonterra. And with that, I will transition to Scott.
All right, Casey, thank you. Russ, we can advance the slides, and I really appreciate everybody taking some time to be with us today. Some of you are familiar with Bonterra, some of you probably are not. And so I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes giving you a brief introduction of who we are. We're a substantially larger organization than DonorDrive that was assembled to try to create, candidly, something of a platform for social good, to make it easier for nonprofits and also make it easier for donors and people giving resources away to nonprofits. We have about 1,000 employees, over 20,000 customers, about half the Fortune 100 who are on the donor side. We also work with many public sector organizations, as well as large foundations who are looking to give money away. We have a large portfolio of about 20 products, many of them in the fundraising and engagement category that you'll hear about today. And a big part of our ambition is to get all those products working together really well to create a holistic donor experience. We have nearly 20 billion in donations flowing through the Bonterra platform today. And we have over 16,000 nonprofit organizations as part of our customer base. Next slide. In terms of what we do, really we focus on three major sort of categories of value delivery. One I mentioned, we call it strategic philanthropy. This is software that's used by corporations, foundations, public sector organizations to give money away. We help orchestrate lots of grants, lots of employee volunteerism efforts, and that is a big part of what we do in our business. Then, of course, the main stage event today, fundraising and engagement. We have a number of products that are covering a myriad of different fundraising channels and avenues, and we're very excited to welcome DonorDrive and peer-to-peer as part of that portfolio. And then finally, the third leg of our stool is software that is used by our nonprofit customers to both help manage their resources that might be working out in the field, say at a homeless shelter, but also to help them report on impact outcomes that help generate and justify more donations, more volunteerism. So that's briefly about us. I want to spend now a few slides going through our overall vision that will help set the context for why did we acquire DonorDrive? How is it going to sort of fit into all of the things that we're trying to do as a larger organization? The way we see the world is that the social good ecosystem of which we are all a part has something of an existential problem. It hasn't been growing particularly fast for, candidly, the last 50 years. And over the last 20 years, the growth has been slow and the trends have been alarming. The percentage of people that are giving in any given year has gone from 2/3 to half. The percentage of people volunteering has gone from 1/3 to 25%. And so as a consequence, while the size of total giving in the United States is a big number, 620 billion, and that includes the value of volunteerism, that number candidly pales in comparison to the size of the need. And we just took a few here, right? Climate change, world hunger, and US child poverty combined, it's estimated that would require resources on the order of $5.5 trillion a year to really sort of comprehensively address. And so one of the big things that we're very focused on is how do we change the trajectory of giving? How do we help you change it and accelerate beyond this sort of relatively slow growth of GDP that we've seen here for an extended period of time? On the next side, as we've sort of dug into this problem, one of the things that we've heard as we talk to our donors right? Public sector, corporates, foundations. And certainly one of the things that points out in the research is this notion that, trust is sort of critical to make the whole thing work. And what do we mean by trust? Really, when I talk to large foundations, it's the answer to two fundamental questions. It is, where and how should I give to make the impact I want to make? As an example, we're working with a very large foundation right now. They want to give away hundreds of millions of dollars to attack community violence in roughly a dozen cities in the United States. The problem they're facing is it is unclear to them in any given city what are the most important nonprofits to work with. How do we ensure that they're in a position to collaborate effectively? And how do we make sure that we understand what's happening as a result of that impact, right? And those are the questions we continue to hear. And that's really what we mean by trust. It's who are the nonprofits and what happened as a result of my giving or volunteerism. That's sort of the core central problem that we're looking to attack. And as we unbundle this problem on the next slide, sort of the way we see it is back to the first question, where and how should I give my time and resources? There's sort of two things that manifest here. One is finding the right nonprofit in the first place, right? There are 1.5 million nonprofits in the United States, and that can be an asset because they're focused on very grassroots issues in a particular community, and you get lots of coverage. But it also can be a detriment in that it is often unclear who the right ones are to work with. We're seeing this right now as we work with some of our large corporates, large foundations that want to do work associated with the hurricane. It's not clear often what is the best partners to work with. And that's part of the problem that we think we're in a unique position to solve because we work on both sides of this equation. We work with donors, we work with nonprofits. The other thing that we see is it is often difficult for nonprofits to build a really personalized, intimate experience with their donors. And the reason this is hard is because over time, this industry creatively, have built lots of different fundraising channels, a myriad of different fundraising options, from peer-to-peer and bike walk run events to auctions to events to digital fundraising, right? All of these different touch points. But the problem is most of those touch points are powered by independent software products that don't talk to one another. And that results in an experience for the donor that doesn't feel like you know me, right? You don't know that I was the same person that went to your gala and that just made this big donation and that participated in this auction or this run event, right? It doesn't feel like you know me, and that impacts your ability to maintain sustainable relationship with these donors. And that's something we believe we're also in a unique position to fit because we can stitch together all of the different Bonterra fundraising products and create that sort of single experience. And then on the other side, what happens to the time and resources I give, right? We need to be able to help make the software invisible, right? So it removes overhead costs. Any hour that you need to spend on technology is an hour you're not spending out on your cause. And we need to help you be able to report on impact outcomes so that you justify those donations, particularly from large corporates and large public sector organizations that may demand it. And so this is the way we sort of see the problem, right? It's sort of this trust cycle that creates friction between donors and doers. And so that's the way we see our vision on the next slide, which is sort of arresting this trust cycle, right? Turning it into a virtuous trust cycle, which is we're going to help you build personalized relationships across all of those different fundraising channels because we're going to stitch all of this together. The view of the donor is going to be the same through every one of these fundraising channels. We're working on creating a marketplace that makes you more visible to all of our donors and makes it easier for them to find you when they're looking for a given grant opportunity. Our technology is going to provide the ability for you to easily report on outcomes so that your impact is measurable and clear. And we're going to put a huge emphasis on trying to make everything easy. So you're not having to spend time thinking about the technology, but you're spending time thinking about your causes. We want to make the technology disappear, candidly, is our ambition. So that's what we're trying to do broadly. And on the next slide, that's the way we bring together all of our three pieces, right? Strategic philanthropy, which is our work with our donors. We want to get more funding from them by making you more visible. We want to make it easier for you to create an awesome experience for your donors. And we also want to make sure that you have the ability to describe the impact that you're having, which in turn can generate more opportunity and more fundraising. And that's sort of this unified ecosystem we have. And we believe this combination can truly change the trajectory of giving over time if we can make this happen. Awesome. So I am going to turn this over to Mr. Russ Jenkins, who's now going to drill down specifically into how all of this manifests within our fundraising and engagement portfolio.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Scott said I'm Russ Jenkins, SVP of Product Management here for fundraising and engagement. And I will just echo Scott in case we're super excited to have DonorDrive here and partnering as part of the Bonterra family. And what I'd like to do, as Scott mentioned, is just spend a few minutes talking about how we're thinking about within fundraising and engagement, supporting the vision that Scott just laid out. And then we'll get into some specifics about how DonorDrive fits into that. And then we'll get even more specific and talk about what's in it for you in a very tactical way. So we'll kind of work our way down there. So first and foremost, what we are working on, and essentially the fundraising engagement vision that supports the Arresting the Decline in Giving that Scott just laid out, is we are working on what we're calling the supporter experience platform. And the idea there is to directly address the challenges of a supporter feeling like a nonprofit doesn't necessarily know who I am. They don't realize that I was at that event last week, or maybe I just wrote a large check and now I'm getting just sort of a generic fundraising email the following week. And we're going to do that in a couple different ways. And so if you start kind of on the left in the top there, these are the three areas that we feel like we can build a virtuous cycle around to arrest this decline. To take each of these individually, recruiting more supporters. We are working on and have a myriad of ways we can help you find and target supporters who are like-minded to your cause. These could be, friends, family, colleagues, people who are like-minded individuals within that, or maybe within your network. We can also take like lookalikes. So if you have like your top supporters are the people that you think best represent the type of supporter that you would be looking for, and then target those very specifically on outreach campaigns. Once we add supporters to your network, then we want to focus on increasing the level of supporter engagement though. So if someone has maybe donated one time, can they volunteer for the first time, or vice versa? If they volunteered, can we turn them into a donor? Can you turn a one-time donor into a recurring donor? You need to be able to have a really good sense of who your supporters are, why they're interested in your cause, what's important to them as well, which we'll talk more about in just a minute. But the focusing on like deepening the level of engagement. Our research shows that well over 50% of people that donate for the first time to a nonprofit never donate again and never come back. And that's a really specific problem that we feel like we can address. And then the third area there is around empowering supporters. So your kind of power users, so to speak, the ones that are willing to take up the cause on behalf of your nonprofit. They could be canvassers, door knockers, they could be phone banking, or in the case here, they could be running peer-to-peer events. They could be volunteering to kind of organize a team, bring in those like-minded individuals into your ecosystem and engage them and start to bring them in and deepen that level of engagement. All of this is powered through a unified supporter data. We have a wealth of information on supporters. So we have the ability to be able to see If you've donated, if you've volunteered, if you bid on an auction, we can put that information together to create a rich profile of a supporter than may otherwise be the case. Once you have that, we have that 360-degree view, we can start to do more detailed and specific profiling on supporters to help surface up to you opportunities within your supporter network, either to pull in new ones like we talked about, or maybe more specific messaging or targeting within your existing network. What that will mean, though, for the supporter is that we can then deliver and give you the tools to deliver a more powerful and specific experience on a per supporter basis. Supporters don't necessarily want to just be sort of moved up like the old traditional pyramid. They may want to have a more linear experience. They may want to be in a position in life today where maybe I want to help, but maybe I can't quite donate. So I'm going to maybe volunteer my time. Maybe that I'm online a lot and I want to sort of promote you through social media applications. Being able to have that sort of deeper level understanding of your supporters will allow you to give much more specific and targeted experience to them. And that's really what we mean by that supporter experience platform, giving them a much more specific and targeted experience and giving you the tools to be able to deliver that. And so probably at this point, it's pretty obvious why we're so excited about having DonorDrive, because this is an absolutely critical step for us towards bringing this vision together. Being able to take your supporters and empowering them to bring in like-minded individuals into your ecosystem and growing your network that way and your ability to do good is incredibly powerful. And that's one of a myriad of reasons why we're so excited to have DonorDrive here. So that's just from a vision perspective of why we're so excited to have DonorDrive join the Bonterra family. Let's talk a little bit more specifically now about how we're thinking about DonorDrive fitting in. So first and foremost, this is a long-term solution and essentially our vision of what our event strategy is going to be. And we're really looking to build the most comprehensive events platform that exists in the industry. And we're going to do that in a couple different ways. So first, you can see that we have multiple ways that we can support you as you run your fundraising events. If you want to run a peer-to-peer campaign and you want to be able to run an auction at the same time, we can empower you to do that. If you'd rather run like a giving day and have like a 24-hour, 48-hour blitz type campaign, you can do those types of things as well. That will be supported through our Bonterra payments product. So if you have, again, if someone's giving you money through a peer-to-peer, but then they're also bidding auctions as well, you can have all of that information and that payment centralized, reporting will be centralized there as well. And then underneath that, empowering all of that is obviously the CRMs. We have CRMs, as you would expect here at Bonterra, but we also know that others use third-party CRMs. So like Salesforce.com, for example. I'll just address one of the questions that may be out there now. We're very excited about how great that integration is and how tight it is with Salesforce. And we're excited to be able to keep and leverage that and build on that as well. So empowering you to be able to have a really powerful events platform. The other piece that I think is worth mentioning here as well, and Scott alluded to it earlier, is we want to have an integrated experience with it. So all of the things that I just got done talking about is predicated on having the wealth and the volume of information and data that's coming in, having that in one place, and then helping you make sense of that data so that you can make smart decisions about what your next action might be. So as we're working through our integration plans, one of the things that we're actively talking about right now is how do we make that data come together? How do we give you a unified experience? So again, if you want to run a peer-to-peer campaign with an auction and then look at that, the results of that in a comprehensive reporting manner, it's a very natural and easy flow and easy to do that so you don't get that disjointed experience. You'll hear more about this later on as we continue to talk, but this is essentially how we package our products today. And so I wanted to spend a moment here as well. So on the left, you can see our core solutions. These are our primary packages, and it's essentially a good, better, best. We have Fundraising Essentials, Fundraising Pro, and Fundraising Enterprise. And these are specifically targeted to where a nonprofit may be in their journey, either it's like from an SMB or a mid-market or an enterprise. And it includes our most powerful fundraising event capabilities automatically included in there as well. We are adding DonorDrive to all of these three that you can see. On the low end there, we're looking at like a lighter version of DonorDrive that may be a little bit more specific and targeted to much smaller nonprofits. But our intent and goal is to be able to distribute DonorDrive within the and across the Bonterra ecosystem. On the right there, these are what we would call point solutions. So if you're not looking for the full comprehensive package, kind of all in one, we do have more specific and targeted point solutions there. The main one that I'll call your attention to is the one that we've color coded there, which is fundraising events. So that is essentially the product that I just showed you on the last slide that we are building towards. And I would note there that it also includes auctions as well. And so you'll have choice here. You can have our more, continue to access DonorDrive through our more advanced bundles, or you can have it through existing point solutions as well. But either way, you'll be able to get that through our Bonterra products and ecosystem. So I want to take a minute now to talk a little bit more about what specifically does this mean for you, and I'll turn this back over to Casey to talk about the first one.
Awesome. Thanks, Russ. So first, because of our partnership, DonorDrive customers are getting access to Bonterra's auction solution for free immediately. So excited to announce this because, auction support has been one of the top DonorDrive customer requests that we've seen. And probably most exciting for you all is that as customers is that Bonterra's auction solution sees a 45% boost in event fundraising on average, and that could make a huge impact on all of your organizations, especially as Scott noted across the industry, we're not really seeing philanthropic giving really growing. So the auction platform through Bonterra offers easy frictionless registration, mobile-friendly bidding, tracking, automated notifications, self-checkout, and all kinds of more features, which we're really excited to offer. So to get started with this, we wanted to be really specific. There is a link that is on the Bonterra website where you can fill out a short form and your account will be ready in just a few days. So you can get off the ground and up and running in just a few minutes. And now I think we want to just take a moment to pause and gauge your interest in auctions. So Amanda, I'll ask you to put up that poll. Then I'll hand it off to Russ.
Very good. So you have the poll there as well. So there's two ways to get in touch with us to get started with your free access to auctions. The first is, as Casey mentioned, on our website. And then the second piece is if you answer yes here to essentially question the answer A or C, or like 1 and 3 here, that you would like to learn more, we'll be able to reach out to you there and get you started immediately. So with that, that's the first piece. Secondly, all of you can apply your DonorDrive subscription to our best fundraising solution. So the items that I showed you earlier in terms of our packages and in terms of our point solutions, you can essentially, what we're offering here is you can take your existing subscription to DonorDrive and simply apply it to one of the Bonterra products that we have in place today, and just apply that right over. If you sign up for anything as well, we know it's kind of Q4 and probably like end of year giving plans are already in place. So anything that you do for implementation through the end of Q1, we wanted to kind of give you a longer runway there. We can also significantly discount the implementation of that as well. So you can, again, you can immediately apply that DonorDrive subscription into a Bonterra product and get not only just all the DonorDrive goodness that you're used to today, but all the other pieces of the whatever's in that Bonterra product as well that you're interested in. We can apply that and you can get all of that as well as part of your existing subscription. We did have one more poll question here. If you are interested in any of these, I know like this isn't a webinar to kind of go through the Bonterra products in detail, and we're not intending to do that. But if you do have any interest, these are the types of things that you will find in those packages or those point solutions. And we are happy to talk to you more about these and help you figure out how best to apply your DonorDrive subscription to one of these. Great. And then last but not least, this is the slide that Scott talked about earlier. I wanted to just put like a quick product spin on this as well to give you a sense and very tangible examples of what it would mean to be part of this much larger ecosystem. I'll point you first there to the middle, the 20 million profiled supporters. What we have is a product called Fast Action, and essentially that allows a supporter who makes a donation to save their information so that when they come back, they can just essentially use their Fast Action profile The form will be filled out for them automatically, and it just reduces the friction for going through and donating. So we've seen great success with nonprofits that use this. We will make this available to you on your donation forms, and then you can immediately plug into the Bonterra ecosystem and have within our network access to that through our Fast Action product. The other one I'll just mention briefly, and as we start to publish and talk about roadmaps, you'll see more of this, is that the purple circle there in the bottom middle. We have right now 13 proprietary AI models that we've developed. We will be working to figure out which ones make the most sense and adding those to DonorDrive. There's a few that I'll just call out that we're very excited about adding to DonorDrive. One is called Optimize Ask. And that is the ability to, once we understand our supporters, giving them essentially customized ask amounts that are tailored to the individual person, maybe their giving history and what we know about them. And we've had absolutely tremendous success with that model, using that on every action as an example. And that's another example of the benefits of DonorDrive joining the Bonterra ecosystem. So with that, I think we just have one more here, and we'll just talk for a moment about we talk a lot about what you're getting, what is coming. We did want to just take a minute here and talk about what's not going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Russ. So first thing is Russ talked about DonorDrive being the Bonterra events platform of the future. And so wanted to just make sure everyone had an understanding that that means ongoing continued product investment. We've talked a lot about connecting DonorDrive to the broader Bonterra ecosystem, and you can see already, through things like AI and being able to really personalize your experiences, there are going to be a lot of benefits from that. And more near-term features that will help you run campaigns of all kinds, of course, including individual giving programs and making sure that we're still leading, of course, in the peer-to-peer space. And then just second, the customer support. We know, because you all tell us all the time, that customer support is a really critical part of our relationship with you. So you can expect to continue receiving an excellent support experience. And we'll also be increasing our support capabilities in 2025. So really looking forward to that. And then next, we'll continue to invest in our award-winning integrations, of course, such as our Salesforce integration, as we mentioned before. And of course, we've got lots of other integration plans as well that you'll be able to benefit from. We know how critical it is to connect quality data so that you can steward your supporters in the best way possible and overall grow their lifetime impact. And then just lastly, I want to say that with more than 20 million supporters that were mentioned and more than $18 billion annually going through the Bonterra platform, we're now in a position to really leverage Bonterra's massive scale, data, network to help you deliver the right experience to the right people at the right time and in the right places. So thank you again for just taking the time, Russ and Scott, to really lay out the vision for the DonorDrive folks. So shall we move to Q&A?
Very good. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your questions. Really appreciate that. We'll do our best to get to all of them, but I know there's a good bit. So if we don't, we'll really do our best to follow up offline as well. The first question, though, I know we've heard this one a good bit, is just about, kind of the DonorDrive brand and branding, and some folks wondering what's happening to that and kind of what that means for them.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that, Amanda. So we don't have any intention of rebranding DonorDrive as Bonterra. So the DonorDrive will continue to live on as a product name. We will associate it with Bonterra, but all of our individual products retain their individual product names. So for those of you that, for example, may be concerned that the mobile app and having that change and confusing your users, that shouldn't be something that you need to worry about.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know, Casey, you said it, but could you just reiterate for folks, because I know their concern is there about support, and can you just touch on what that might look like for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. So your support experience really remains unchanged. So all the support channels that we offer today are still there in place. I mentioned before, we'll be adding in support capabilities and really scaling out what that looks like. So I really envision support getting even better as time goes on.
Awesome. Russ or Casey, are there any questions that you're seeing that you want to tackle head on here?
Yeah, there's one here that I'll tackle. There's a couple different flavors of a similar question, which is essentially like, will DonorDrive work with, fill in the blank ticketed events or auctions or such case. So let me just sort of make 2 points there. One is, in a case I didn't hit this as hard as maybe earlier, we are, part of why we're so excited for DonorDrive is we believe that this is the platform that we're going to build our unified events platform on going forward. So that slide that I showed earlier of those different types of events that are that will be available to you kind of within one solution, we are going to build that out on the DonorDrive platform. So some of the questions that I see in here around, like, will it work with ticketed events or will it work with auctions and that, the answer is yes. We are working towards that kind of one experience for you on that events platform, so that you're not trying to like move across different applications. There may be a couple instances where that happens, but we're going to minimize that as much as possible. Make sure and focus on that experience that I talked about, focusing on the right data in the right place, having one login as you navigate Bonterra as well. So that's the one thing I just kind of wanted to make clear there. This is an integration that will take time. So I wish I could wave my magic wand and make it all happen now, but I would expect that we'll be working on this over a period of time and through into 2025. And as we do future roadmap sessions, which we absolutely will do, future roadmap sessions, you will see the work that we are talking about, what I'm talking about in more detail, and more laid out in terms of how we're thinking about sequencing that event, that work, and then how that will benefit you and make, Scott talked about earlier, making the software as much as possible disappear for you.
And then Amanda, one question I thought I'd jump on, there were a couple around sort of contracts and entitlements and how does that relate to the new bundles and what does it mean? I think the way I would think about it is the following. If you are using DonorDrive, and you don't have any interest in sort of expanding into some of these additional fundraising channels that are part of some of these packages, that will continue to be an option. We talked about the fundraising events specific offer. The only thing that changes there is it adds auctions at no additional cost. And so that is sort of option one. Option two is if you are interested in upgrading to one of the packages, you'll have that option as well. And as we talked about the implementation of that, the services associated with it, we're looking to discount to make that as easy and painless as possible over the next few months. So that is a second option. And then, of course, we're going to honor all existing contracts. And so whatever you have, whatever terms you have, whatever length you have them, those will remain in force until your renewal, when you will be presented with these options. Or, of course, at any point in time, you have the option to move to one of the new packages if you'd like to do that sooner.
Awesome. Thanks for addressing that, Scott. There are a hefty chunk of those in the question, so appreciate you taking those. Any other ones that we want to take right now? I know we are coming up on time, so I also want to be respectful of that. And if we don't get to your question, and if it's super specific to your organization, that's where we'll look to address it one-on-one rather than here in the large group.
I think maybe one last question. There are a couple of questions in here just regarding will we be able to keep our historical data that's on DonorDrive, and just kind of the future of DonorDrive. So just want to be really clear. We're not shutting down DonorDrive. Your data will remain intact. And it's the opposite. We're building on top of DonorDrive going forward. So just wanted to clear that up. And then one last question, I thought maybe we could tackle from a Bonterra standpoint, Scott or Russ, I'm not sure which of you, but just around data privacy and how Bonterra handles constituent data. It looks like there's a couple questions in here around, like, will our constituents be marketed to from Bonterra directly?
Yeah, from a product perspective, absolutely not. We don't market directly to constituents. We don't share constituent data across nonprofits. So just to be as equivocal as I can, or unequivocal as I can on that question.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I would also, just to echo Casey's point, DonorDrive is filling what has been a gap in the Bonterra fundraising and engagement portfolio. It is now our signature fundraising event solution, peer-to-peer solution, and it is going to get investment commensurate with that sort of pole position in our portfolio. The roadmap for DonorDrive is directed by Casey, and as I've said to some of the customers in person, we didn't acquire DonorDrive to change the roadmap or take the product in a new and different direction. It's been a super successful and well-managed product, and that's going to continue to be the case as a point solution. The value that we're seeking to add is the things that we've talked about today. How do we connect that with additional fundraising capabilities to create this sort of consistent, personalized experience? How can DonorDrive leverage some of the advantages we have as a result of our scale? One example of that is all of the data that we have and using that to make with AI to help you make better decisions. Some of our underlying infrastructure, such as Bonterra payments and single sign-on, right? It will be able to take advantage of. So that's really the dimensions where we're seeking to add value to DonorDrive. And we have the utmost confidence in Casey in the direction that she's been setting with the product, and that will continue.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you to everybody who joined us today for taking some time out of your precious hours in your day. Really appreciate spending it with us here today. Hope this is the first of many Bonterra webinars for you all. Like Scott, Russ, and Casey mentioned, we're super excited to have you as part of the Bonterra family and Bonterra ecosystem. Only great things to come. And I want to just express my sincere thanks to Scott, Casey, and Russ for your time here today, for walking these customers through this vision, how they fit into the vision, and what's next. I know there's a lot of work that has gone into this behind the scenes to make this all possible. So thank you all for your work and for sharing some of it with us today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Thursday.